lot of clients come to me because they are interested in exploring ethical non-monogamy. And one of the things I want to talk about in this video is some of the conversations you should be having before you open up a relationship or as you're considering opening up a relationship. First, you have to decide what you're looking for. Is this more of a sexual thing that you want to find other sexual partners and you want to kind of keep it in a sexual space, but not necessarily an emotional space? Is this something that, no, actually you're kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum where you could see yourself loving more than one person and you like the idea of having full relationships and dating and exploring and feeling connected to other people? What you'll find in the ethical non-monogamy world is people exist all across the spectrum. There are people who make it just about one-night stands, for example. Like every now and then they just go and they have some sex and then they go back to their normal lives. There are people who don't do it regularly. There are people who do it weekly. There are people who, there's this thing called kitchen table polyamory where like they kind of come together, all of the partners, and talk at the kitchen table about making sure everybody feels respected and supported. So some of the conversations you need to have to really consider is, where do I think I exist along this spectrum? And while that's part of the conversation, the funny thing is you won't know until you start. Like, that's the hard thing. So I want you to have these conversations and explore that in yourself. And some part of the process will be, as you go along, you'll find yourself evolving. That like you will have thought this was what you wanted. That as you have more experience as an explorer, you'll find you land somewhere on that spectrum different than you ever expected. So that's one of the conversations to have, is where do I think I would exist on this spectrum, and how am I similar or different from my partner? Because your partner may be here and you may be here. Another conversation, just like if you're going to go to a place, for example, there's different places or venues where you can meet other people that are ethically non-monogamous. Some of the things you need to think about even in those spaces are, what are our boundaries? What are our limits and interests, actually, right? So like limits, things that feel a little uncomfortable. Do we want to date as a couple every time, or do we feel comfortable with each of us sort of having our own dating journey? How do I feel about somebody flirting with my partners? So most people initially will feel a little trepidation or anxiety thinking about that. But the reality is, when you're dating other people, that's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to flirt. Somebody's going to hit on your partner. And so ways to even talk about in a process that are to imagine it happening. So this is called visualization. I would challenge you to not think in the what if space, like what if this happens? What if this happens? They're going to happen. But rather than seeing what if, think about it as, when things like this happen, when somebody hits on my partner, when my partner is feeling energy and excitement, and when my partner or I fall in love. That's the other one. Everybody's big fear is, what if you fall in love? When you have sex with people and you have long-term relationships with people, you probably will fall in love at some point. Not everybody does, but some people do. So even covering that when you're having these conversations should sound like, when these things happen, how do we want to handle that? What conversations do we need to have? Just to add on, because this video can only cover so much, I would really like you to explore a couple of books. One book is The Ethical Slut. Another book is The Jealousy Workbook by Lavriola. And another book is Opening Up. These three books are very helpful in asking and figuring out questions about, what do we need to do to really feel confident in ourselves and decide what feels comfortable for us in terms of boundaries or limits and interests. And I really strongly encourage that jealousy workbook, because it gives very real strategies for how to work through jealousy as it comes up. Because it's not, what if I get jealous? It's, when we get jealous, how do we support each other, and how do I support myself through that? But please, if you would like to see me, submit a contact form and like and subscribe for more videos. I will have 2 more videos about ethical non-monogamy after this, so please stay tuned. Then also please submit comments or questions below about your own questions about this.